When you come into the world, we take on the identity of those who are more powerful than us. What we're looking for is a kind of person who is looking for meaning. What's the meaning of life? Why am I here?
Hi and good day. Welcome to the Sunday Conversation. I'm Alan Masters. It's funny because the two gentlemen that are filming this that are not here, because I asked them to step out, we were talking about not having a live audience. And I said, I like not having a live audience. I like being able to be in a room completely by myself with my thoughts, with my creator. And I said to him, and so Dave, you'll have to watch this to hear the answer, because I didn't give him the rest of the answer. I said, you'll have to watch this. But I said to him, you know, it's interesting how each one of us has to deal with this thing, this pandemic, it's not really the pandemic, this thing that is going on in our own individual ways. You know, I prefer being by myself. It's really easy. I've learned a lot more about my thoughts, myself, how I work by being by myself and talking to a camera in an empty room. Some of you may think, well, gosh, that's got to be hard. Well, it was hard in the beginning. I actually did one show with my eyes closed, and I had people in here, and I said, I'm just going to keep my eyes closed, because I think I said a prayer, and God put into my heart, just keep your eyes closed and keep talking. And so I said, I'm going to keep my eyes closed, because inside of our heads, there's a lot going on. And I want to be at peace with myself. I want to learn how to separate myself from the thoughts. So Dave, what I meant by that, I said to him, it's interesting how God has put us all in this position to have to learn how to deal with this thing that's going on. What is this thing? It's a test. It's a test for all of us. I saw my father. He sends his hellos. A lot of people are asking, how's he doing? He's actually doing quite well. I mean, he's 92 years old. My mother's coming up on 90. Her birthday is the 9th of November. So if the world is still here after the elections, then we'll have a little party for her. But she, on the other hand, in some ways is not doing as good as my dad. She's got arthritis in her knees, so she has a hard time walking and getting around, and her memory is, it's short. And my dad is taking the time in this year, interesting year again, to deal with and help my mom. And he wasn't doing such a great job of taking care of himself while he was trying to take care of her, because he's got that thing. You know what that thing is, right? Like Joe Biden said, that thing, you know that thing. No, but this thing is called old age. The same thing Joe Biden has, by the way. Old age creeps up on all of us. I'm 60 years old now, and I got out of bed this morning, and all my bones were creaking and making noise and aching, and my feet hurt. And I thought to myself, gosh, I'm 60. This shouldn't be happening. And then, a couple of minutes, just like when I start up an old engine, it rattles and bangs for a minute, and then it smooths out. So I had smooth sailing after a few minutes. But old age creeps up on us all. And a lot of people get angry. Where's your dad? Where's Roy? We want Roy back. You're too much of a pansy, as one guy said. And I thought to myself, my dad has written so many books, The Meaning of Happiness, The Hypnotic States of Americans, Cure Stress. I mean, how many books do we need? How many books do we need? I don't need to write a whole bunch of books. My dad has written, how many do you need? 1, 5, 10, 12, 16, 19, 20. We've got them. FHU.com. You can find them all. How many times after over a half a century does he have to say the same thing in different ways? Or do I have to say the same thing in different ways to wake up Pay attention. Be a clear thinking, self-motivating individual. I mean, these are pretty simple things. Like this cup says, be still and know. I mean, it's the meditation exercise. By the way, you can get these cups. We have them. It's got an FHU logo on the other side. If you want one, let us know. But I think to myself, all these people in this year, this thing, they're crying out for guidance from my dad. And I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the lucky few that get to go visit him and have a nice talk with him. Talk about the weather, talk about life, talk about the grandkids, the great-grandkids. Talk about people that are in our lives. But the one thing that he says that is so simple, and he said it 1,000,000 times, is I say to him, Dad, people want to know what you think about this pandemic. He says, it's just stupid. I'm not afraid. And I thought, well, there it is. King Leonidas, the lion-hearted man, at 92, a bit frail, I'm not afraid. Isn't that interesting? Fear. Fear is the absence of faith. A lot of us think we have faith. We like to use the word faith, love, God, Jesus, all these words that are, feel-good words. But when it comes right down to it, do you really have faith? If you did, you wouldn't have fear. If you have faith, faith shines the light on the darkness of fear, and it disappears. So my dad says, I'm not afraid. And I said, neither am I, Dad. Neither am I. I went shopping in Safeway the other day, and a big sign right on the front door. No mask, no enter. I didn't have a mask. So I walked in the front door, and I pulled my shirt up on my nose, and nobody said a word. I mean, it's absurd. The whole thing is absurd. Anyway, I walked around and got a few things, and I went out, and I was at the checkout stand, and I couldn't do the money and hold my shirt on my nose, so it slipped down, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't have a mask. I don't own one. And the lady said, when is this going to be over? She goes, and aren't we going to just feel naked without these after a while? I said, not me. She says, well, I've been wearing this thing for months every day. She goes, it's starting to become part of me now. She goes, I feel like I'm going to feel naked when I finally can take it off. Isn't that what they want? How many weeks does it take to form a habit? Watch your habits because they become your destiny. But that's really what they want. They want it to be part of us, covering our face. Imagine if I was wearing a mask right now and all you could see was my forehead and my eyes moving around and you couldn't see my mouth. It's just kind of half of a person. The face is the fingerprint. And without that fingerprint, we don't know who each other are. We look at each other like boxes. Behind that camera are a whole bunch of identical boxes. And if you put a face covering on, you're just another box, a container. It's a strange thing. So I am not afraid. I don't live in fear. But I do heed the signs. I remember my dad said to me, if you see the clouds in the sky and it looks like it might rain, wouldn't you take an umbrella? Yeah, I guess you would. If you think it might be raining and later on in the day and you're going to be outside, it might be smart to take an umbrella. Do you see the signs? Do you need to take an umbrella? Is it an umbrella you need? Do you own an umbrella? Maybe you should get one or two, a few for the family. It's an interesting thing. I was thinking about some of the elderly that have been listening to my father for, 50 years. And I know quite a few of them. And I look at the elderly that have been following my father's teachings for this half century. A couple of them are on our board of directors. Chuck Williams, been 50 years. Connie Derrick, I think, closing in on 50 years. These are not weak people. They're elderly. They're not weak people. They're not afraid. They live their lives, and they don't live their lives in fear. If you're an elderly person and you don't own an umbrella, if you know what I'm saying, then when the rains come, you're going to get wet, and it'll serve you right. All my life, my father's taught me how to have courage, like through osmosis, through him setting the example. But he didn't just set the example for me, he set it for you too. Why is it we live in such fear? I feel fear trying to creep in, like a fog crawling along the ground, like in the movie The Ten Commandments, when the green smoke made its way through, the smoke of the spirit of death. It creeps in, and all of a sudden you go, oh no, what are we going to do? What am I going to do? And then I go, oh, there it is. Doubt, fear, lack of faith. And as you become aware of it, as you see it, and become a clear thinking person in that moment, don't doubt. Don't doubt your gut feeling that the smoke is creeping along. And just like in the movie, people are just going to fall. They're going to fall to the temptation of fear. Fear not. What did it say in the valley of death? Fear not. Right now we're in the valley of death. I do believe that this president will win re-election. I do believe that the dark side will have an uprising. I do believe that. So, those are the clouds. I have my umbrellas. I have what else I need to be self-sufficient, off-grid, you might say. I'm going out today again to buy some more supplies and things that I could need. It's not like the world is coming to an end. Our forefathers traveled across the deserts and the plains in wagons, and all they had was their guns and their personal belongings, and they traveled a long way, and they hunted for food, and they were thoughtful and careful. And remember, they had the Indians that they had to watch out for on top of everything else. On top of starvation, they could have been somebody else's food almost, in essence, if you know what I'm saying. I read something the other day about during World War II, when Nazi Germany was happening, how people actually ate their children when they were starving. Ate their children. Don't be one of those people that becomes collateral damage to what's going on in this world. Be one of the strong. Be one of the like my father at 92. Let me tell you, he'd be out in front. Let's go. I'm not afraid. Where's that spirit? What is it that we wait in fear for death to come and take us? I'm not going to. I'm not going to be one of the Jews that sits there and watches my family killed, watches my family be taken from me. This is a time in history when we must all prepare. The winds of war The winds of adversity are upon us. And I think that we must all be careful right now, be thoughtful, be measured, be ready. I said in 2013, I think, I stand ready. That's the way you need to be, is to be ready. A Boy Scout is always ready. Of course, there was a time when it was honorable to be a Boy Scout. Today, it's a little weird. But I get the whole idea of being a Boy Scout. Because when I was a young boy, it was an honorable thing to be a Boy Scout. Now, I never went to Boy Scouts, but I did do a few things where I learned a few skills of being in the woods. But we're such broken people. We live in such a comfort zone, in such a convenience store world, in a convenient life, in a comfortable life. Another book, Surviving the Comfort Zone. You know, again, my father's written all these books. I don't need to be my father. He's laid a tremendous foundation for all of us. We must live it now. But we live in this life that we have really dumbed ourselves down, allowed our children to be dumbed down, allowed ourselves to be dumbed down, didn't maybe know any better, but now we do, and now it's time to prepare. What harm can come? None. You can have a little extra food, and if everything goes well, you'll have a little extra food. Use it up. You won't have to buy food for a little while. Great. But here we come. We're closing in on 30 days away from the election. I watched our wonderful president, Donald J. Trump, elect the Supreme Court justice to replace Ginsburg. And I start seeing all of these horrible things that the far left, are saying. Horrible things about this wonderful woman. But let me digress just a moment. When President Trump was talking about this choice of this lady, there was a strength about him. Did you guys notice it? Did you notice a beautiful strength, a beautiful calm, a strength in his voice, character? I saw something about him that was like amazing. Here's a man that lived a life of Riley. Can I say that? And whoever out there named Riley, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the way you say life of Riley. But he lived a decadent life. He lived kind of a wild and crazy life. And yet God has chosen him to be the wall. He is the wall. He's the wall that separates us from communism right now. He's the wall that separates us from evil right now. And yet, most presidents after 4 years look haggard and old and worn out. Yet he looked vibrant. He looked alive. He looked confident. He looked happy. His smile was different. The cadence and the way he spoke was different. His voice was different. Everything about him was together. Here is a man, we're watching him find himself and know himself. I love it. My brother-in-law, he says to me, I was moved. I wasn't sure what he meant by that, but he shed a few tears watching Donald Trump announce the appointment of the new Supreme Court justice. And I thought, then I wasn't the only one that saw that. There's something happening to Donald Trump. It's been happening for a while, but it is finally like settling inside his heart. He has embraced it fully. And you know what? I do believe it's faith. He's figured out what faith is. And he understands that he has to just do what he is compelled to do and he has embraced it, and he fears not. He fears not the winds of adversity because they've been blowing on him like a blowtorch. He knows something. He knows something, almost like, I guess, the way Jesus was. He knew what his destiny was, so he could walk through his life and fear not whatever anyone has to bring against him. He doesn't fear it. That's a man of confidence. We're seeing something brilliant, something beautiful with our eyes. Now, a lot of folks, they want to see this guy. They want to see Roy Masters. They miss my dad. They want to see him. Well, what an interesting year for him to step aside and step down and not be here. Not be here for you to hear his voice, to see his face. What an interesting year. He's talked about this for 50 years plus. And here we are. What an interesting year for him not to be here. Don't you think? Because at some point, aren't we all responsible for ourselves and our relationship with our Father in heaven and his Son, Jesus Christ? We are. What an interesting day and year for my father to step aside so that he doesn't block your view of what's going on in this world and what you need to see with your own eyes. Possibly this man, Donald J. Trump. Possibly the lack of faith that you have because you've been putting all your faith in him. If any of this is true, just look at it. If it's not true, so be it. But what an interesting year for him to not be here for you. Now, he is here for you because all his teachings are here. This program is here. But have you put too much in Roy Masters and not enough in your Father in heaven? Interesting time. When you need him most in your mind, he's not there. So you get angry at me and David and the foundation. That's not fair. That's not right. I notice the donations are off. Now, it's an interesting year, so of course they're going to be off a little bit. I do get a lot of emails, interesting emails from people that appreciate that we're keeping his legacy alive and making sure that his books and teachings are all available, and the meditation exercise and the seminars and all the things. Even something like this, a brand new, unopened How Your Mind Can Keep You Well record, of which I'm going to sell. Because some of you may want it. You may already have one, but I actually have a few of these that were in his closet, in his bedroom, in his house. So, if you're interested, I think I'm going to put it on eBay. But this is over 50 years old. Anyway, all the teachings are there. They're all available. We have storage houses full of books, and we still make CDs. We still make cassettes for some. But what an interesting year for him to say, okay, let's untie from the dock, shove off, and you start living your life without him as a crutch. What an interesting year. I believe it's prophetic. And he takes care of my mother and himself, and he's very sweet and very nice. And he says, I'm not afraid. And immediately tenses up his muscles, holds his fists up. Come on. You've seen it. He's always ready. He's ready for a good fight. You must be ready for a good fight. Even the elderly, the old ladies and the old men thinking, oh, somebody will take care of me. What if they don't take care of you? Is your time over? Do you just give up? No, don't. Don't give up. You can always find somebody to help you get an umbrella, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know. I was thinking, what would I talk about today? And God put in my heart, like he does each time, a couple little words. Fear not. What does that mean? What does that mean, God? Well, you have to be an idiot to know what that means, to not know what that means. Fear not. This particular book, The Hypnotic States of Americans, if you haven't read it, maybe now's a good time, and you'll have a better understanding of what's happening in the world around you. I would suggest that you take advantage of my father's teachings, all the years that you've been listening to him or following him. His teachings are still available because of your donations, because of your support. And it is with your support that we're keeping this foundation alive, that we're doing these Sunday talks, that we're doing the radio show that is now a little different, Perilous World Radio. The network loves it. They are getting good reviews on it because it's talking about what's happening in our world in common sense ways. We're dissecting the news a little bit. We're showcasing and highlighting and illuminating the liars. And as my father's always told me, remember, the liars lie. Actually, he says, the liar lies. And the king of the flies, the ultimate liar, Beelzebub, is rejoicing right now because his people are rising up. And I watched the news in total disbelief, thinking my dad was always right. I knew he was right. I just wondered when it was going to happen. I hoped to God that it wouldn't happen, just like you. But here it is. Here it is. I have this thing called Facebook that I stay on as much as anything to see what the left, the friends of mine that are relatively decent people that are living in the hypnotic states of America right now. But I want to see what they're saying. And what they're saying is so telling. It's so sad. I've had to delete a number of them because they're fanatical. They're like rabid dogs. I delete them. I've deleted hundreds of people from the thousands of so-called friends that I have on social media. My father has, on his Facebook page, I think he's got like 20,000 people that follow him. And thank you for your comments and whenever we post a picture of my father and my mother, hundreds and hundreds of folks give it a thumbs up and sometimes comment. I know that you love my mom and dad, and I know that you love what my father has been teaching, but now is a time when you must live it. Now is a time when you must represent what you've been taught. Now is a time when I must represent what my father has taught me for you as he is retiring to take care of my mother. And on a very interesting place in the clock of history, if you know what I'm saying, on the calendar of history. Very, very interesting. Wouldn't you say? A lot of people that watch this Sunday conversation, I think they like the fact that I am not trying to be my dad. I do not want to try and be my dad. I don't think David tries to be our dad. We're individuals. We're going to have our own outlook on life. And if that is not a good example for you, because you're supposed to have your own outlook on life and your own clear thinking individual opinions, then I don't know what is a good example. Because if I was just sitting here mimicking my father, reading his books and reading them out loud to you, trying to sound like him, I wouldn't be doing him justice. I have to live my life just like you have to live your life. I have to be a businessman, a father, a husband, a son, a brother, an uncle. I have to be all those things, and I have to be the best version of those things that I can be with the knowledge and understanding that I have today. And as I'm waking up to what my true job is and understanding what my destiny is and or should be, then I stand up straighter. I speak more clearly. I use the understanding God puts in my heart to convey the messages that I have. I'm happy that we have all these books and records and recordings and videos, and I'm happy about all that. We were working with Netflix to put the movie out until they put that movie out, Cuties, which is, you might as well just be a pedophile if you like that movie. So backed up, all right, that's not the right outlet. It's interesting. It's ready to go. It's just interesting how things happen and the interesting timing. So maybe God will show me the direction I need to take, the new path for distribution of this movie. I don't want to just put it out on the internet because I just don't think that's the right way to do it. Anybody could just make a video and put it out there, and it costs a couple $100,000 to create, and then you get, 5,000 views. What is that? No, you put it in the movie theaters or on television where people are searching for content. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue on that quest, following my heart. So a lot of people are like, well, just put it out there. Well, that's my decision. So I'll do it as I am guided by my Father in heaven. Anyway, I have enjoyed doing these talks, although, again, each time a bit reluctant. Because why reluctant, you probably say? Probably the same reason why you are reluctant in your life to cross over and communicate with others about your beliefs. It's an interesting thing that I'm looking at. I do it. I'm compelled to do it. I show up. I sit down. I talk. I allow God to use me as a vessel to send a message out to you. And maybe sometimes that message is for me as well. But a lot of us are reluctant. I think that in the voting realm for the President of the United States coming up, they call it the silent majority. People are silent about it because they're reluctant to talk to their friends. But I'm seeing more and more people saying, you know what? If I deny him, then he's going to deny me. So I'm not going to deny God. I'm not going to deny Jesus. I'm going to talk about them when and where I can, and more often than ever. There's a little something inside all of us, a little something that twists and turns when we start to think about God and Jesus, reading the Bible, buying a book and reading a book that my father's written. The reluctance. What is that reluctance? What is it? Push past it. It's a little guard standing at the gate, protecting the dark side. Push him out of the way. It is interesting, isn't it? Why the reluctance? After all, I'm my Father's son. He's asked me to do this job. Big shoes to fill is what my head says. Don't have all the knowledge and all the information and all the life experiences that my Father has. God says, you don't need them. I'll show you the way. Okay? So I don't know yet what is coming, but I have to keep showing up. Keep showing up. keep standing ready. Keep looking at the fear that some of us have to go outside, the fear some of us have to own a gun. It's a Second Amendment right to bear and own and bear arms. Our Constitution protects that right so that you can protect what is yours. Yet some people are afraid. Oh, I don't want a gun in the house. I don't want a gun. Umbrella. Don't want an umbrella. So you get wet. So you get taken advantage of. If the riots come to your street and they bust in your door, I guess there's going to be nobody there to protect you, not even your own self. So they're going to take what they want and take you out in the process probably, but who knows? I just think that when I say I stand ready, I can't just stand there with my mouth open waiting for a roast chicken to fly in. I have to stand ready in all ways. I hope that you stand ready. I hope that you stand ready to protect your family, men and ladies that don't have a man in the house to protect their children. I love that when I see it. When I see, there was something on the internet about a woman who caught a guy trying to light a fire when they had the fires going on, and they caught him, and she had a gun, and she said, "Get down on the ground." This was just a mother, a lady, and she made him get on the ground, and she held the gun on and called the police, and that's courage instead of running away. All it takes in the world for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. No. Be ready. Stand ready. Fear not. Let your conscience be your guide. Don't doubt your gut. Don't be bitter. Be better. Be better by being ready. Watch Donald Trump. Just go on the internet and watch him announcing that new justice. Watch him closely. Watch his face. Watch how he talked. Watch his smile. Watch him closely. And that's what we need to see in other men, in other people in this world. That is confidence. Confideo, with fidelity. Honor. He trusts in his Father in heaven. That's how you have confidence. You know what infidelity is? Being dishonest. The honesty that he has in his heart is that he honestly trusts his Father in heaven to protect him, to guide him. He knows what he is doing right is right. And you know, it's interesting because you're going to have that battle. You know what you got to do, but the doubt is always along for the ride. The doubt is always along saying, basically saying these words, you don't really know what you're doing. You're making a big mistake here. Everybody's going to judge you. What are they going to think about you? All these little thoughts in your head. You know what you have to do. You got to get past it. You got to look at that doubt. Don't just turn your head away from it. Look at that doubt and say, no, stop it. I mean, not that you talk inside your head to yourself, but in essence, just look at it. See it for what it is. Don't doubt that doubt is trying to make you doubt. That's the liar right there. He's along for the ride for pretty much your whole life. He's always going to be there. He's omnipresent. The liar, the doubter, the dark side. God is also omnipresent. How many of you saw the Franklin Graham prayer march in Washington? Big prayer. It wasn't so much a march, I guess. They all showed up on the National Mall in front of the the Abraham Lincoln Memorial there. I've been to that location. It's huge. The National Mall is huge. There was thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people there, and they all showed up to pray. Very interesting. What a beautiful sight. What a beautiful sight to see. All those people praying. And you know what? What a cool thing Franklin Graham did. Billy Graham is smiling in heaven at his son, who had the courage, no matter what anybody thought about him, no matter what doubts he had, nobody's going to show up. Guarantee he would, in his mind, the devil whispering in his mind all the time. But maybe at a certain point, it's like the devil's on the outside of the window and you can't even hear him anymore, but he's still yelling at the window, the glass, and you're on the inside, the protection of God. So, but I applaud Franklin Graham for what he did. I wish that I could have gone. But the one thing I thought that was really interesting was he asked everybody to pray out loud to themselves, by themselves, all at the same time. And you could hear all these people saying their prayers out loud. I just thought it was really cool. These are biblical times. These are biblical times. I was moved by that. I think that what came out of our Vice President Pence's mouth, he's 1 year older than me. He's 61. I think that he was awesome. Unafraid to say the name Jesus Christ. Unafraid to speak what he believes in his heart, his faith, his Christianity. With character and courage, in a beautiful, eloquent way. He's a good man. He's a good man. And I think that our country is on the precipice of the dark side, rising up against a good people. America has good people, but they've been living in this hypnotic state for too long. Again, if you haven't got this book, you should order one. But this one man said he broke him free. We played it on the radio show, that Donald Trump broke him free out of his hypnotic state, in essence. He was just a workaday Joe talking out of the back of a truck, a big semi-truck he was unloading, and he was compelled to use his cell phone and do a selfie video and tell everybody, he says, I'm not going to be a slave anymore to this craziness. And people are waking up. They're waking up. And interestingly enough, they're doing it without churches. Of course, they have a church, but a lot of them are not allowed to go. Some of them are afraid to go. Some of them, the churches won't open. We're kind of not opening right now. We only have a tiny little congregation here in our local area, but I enjoy doing the talk by myself. So soon we'll open back up and we'll have Sunday conversations with an audience and microphone, pass it around and talk about it. But I think 2020 has been one of those years for reflection. Reflection on our lives, reflection on our families, on our religion, on our relationships with other people, including my father. It's been a time to reflect, to examine, self-examination of who we've become, why we've become this way, and what can we do to change it. The best part about it is it's just simply being aware of it and not wanting to be that way anymore and recognizing I've made some mistakes. I've made some mistakes. Have you? We all have. But then recognizing also that it's time to live differently. It's time to live with purpose. Remembering that we have a destiny. What is your destiny? What is your purpose in this life? Have you fulfilled that yet? Are you on that journey yet? Have you showed up? Have you stood ready? Or have you sat there with your mouth open, waiting for a roast chicken to fly in, like so many do? My dad would deliver them each day through his radio show or, the videos that he put out. He would deliver a meal of goodness. And right now you're there to fend for yourself. You have to live your life without Roy Masters delivering you your care package of faith. Find your own faith. Where is it? It's right in here, waiting. Just like Donald Trump said to Seattle mayor and Portland mayor, I'm waiting. We'll come in and clean that mess up. God is waiting. Jesus is his, what do you want to call it? What do you want to call Jesus? Let's just see. His captain. And he's ready to help. Ready to help, but you have to ask. Just like the mayors have to ask for help, you have to ask. So, am I my father? No, I'm not my father. Am I going to be my father? No. Sorry to disappoint you. I'm not going to be my father. Am I going to be a clear-thinking, self-motivating individual? Yes. That's what my father taught me. That's what he taught you. Am I going to do my absolute best to show up on time, ready? Yes. That readiness is the open heart and open mind to accept, how do I say this? The commandments from my Father in heaven, and then I will follow them and carry them out best of my ability. So, I appreciate, and my Father appreciates your support. Without your support, the foundation cannot continue on. So we hope that you'll continue that support. Purchasing a book, a record, a CD, a cassette, whatever it is, not a bad idea. If you haven't read all the different books and you're yearning for a little taste of what my Father has taught all these years and you've not bought any of these, well, that's a good way to support the foundation. Just purchase one of his books. And then I think what I'll do is I'll put, this is a very valuable, it's still in the plastic. You can see how shiny it is. Our producer said, just take the cellophane off. I said, that is a classic. It's 50 years old. Let's see, 60. Yeah, it's over 50 years old. Brand new. How Your Mind Can Keep You Well. If you own a record player or if you want to collect something like this, it's a keepsake. It's beautiful. And I actually have a few of these, but I think the family will keep some of these. Anyway, I'll put a link on the website in the coming weeks for when I put this up. Make sure that you have a chance to, if you want to buy a keepsake like that. We have these cups, Be Still and Know, and then the FHU logo on it. We have multiple colors. Just a few things like that we thought we'd put together. We sent a lot of them out to some of the folks that have been longtime donors. Once again, the foundation needs your support. Tall Timber Ranch, we're going to start, I guess we'll push it off to 2021 because of the election. We were going to start doing some seminars in September, but I think it's a good idea to wait. I think everybody needs to understand that this election is the most important election in the history of our country. Mainly because we're alive, and if we want our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, some of you, if we want them to have any kind of prosperity in this country, we need a Donald Trump. And so I'm going to push off our seminars that we will start doing until 2021. We'll keep you posted on that. I don't want to be ambitious about starting those things. I know a lot of you folks are wanting to get together Our little Tall Timber Ranch event was a nice success. It was fun. The ranch is beautiful. We will put it back to use in 2021, and we've been preparing with it. Thank you for your donations. Also, we've been fixing it up. It sat for almost 10 years without much going on out there, and it was starting to feel its age the way that all of us are. Anyway, please tune in or get our app. If you want to get the FHU app, it's FHU Vision right here, FHUVisionApp.com. If you go to that website, then you can put in your own code to make sure that you're getting the app and it's not being stolen or whatever. I don't know why they're doing it this way, but this way you can download the app onto your phone and listen to the radio show, the Sunday conversations you can watch. You can listen to the meditation exercise on demand and watch and all the other stuff that we're putting up there. FHUVisionApp.com. It's pretty cool. And then please check your spam to see if we've been sending you the weekly update, the FHU weekly update. And if you have not been getting it and you would like to get it, send us an email at the foundation and just ask to be put on the mailing list. It basically is just to keep you in touch with what we're doing, events that may be coming up so you don't miss them. We'll also talk about just stuff that we're doing at the foundation, introduce you to some of the people that work at the foundation and that are volunteering and stuff like that. It's not an easy job. Nobody said it would be easy, but I accepted it and I'm doing it, and I'm doing the best I can. I can always use your help and support. If you have a question or a comment and you want to direct it straight to me, my email address is alan, ALAN, @FHU.com. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. You have to have faith. You have to be strong. You have to stand ready, because something wicked this way come. See you next week.